Stay tuned for Retire Your Way with Dale Soutas, a leading financial retirement strategist and the founder of Soutas Financial and Insurance Solutions, right here in Fresno. Every week, Dale discusses pressing financial topics of the week, ranging from reliable income strategies to our financial markets, including Social Security, tax strategies, wealth management, RMDs, legacy planning, long-term care solutions, and most importantly, how to make sure you have enough guaranteed lifetime income to retire your way with choice and dignity. From taxes to trends to total transparency, Dale covers it all. And now, here is Retire Your Way and Dale Soutas. That's right, friends. This is Retire Your Way with Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial. Every single week here to help you with retirement planning.
Numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Income planning.
Numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Estate planning strategies. Mr. Dale Soutas, I'm playing with some of the toys and buttons today. How are you doing this week, my friend?
I am doing fine, Spike. Having fun, keeping busy, almost out of trouble. How's that?
Yes, there you go.
Is that the right answer?
Yeah. Having fun. Yeah, well, exactly. We want to keep you out of trouble. You're going to be everybody's financial advisor. You've got to stay out of trouble.
That's right.
We are finally going to be doing another live event very, very soon. You can go to Soutas.com if you'd like to go see Dale in person. And the first thing is when it gets near the end of the presentation, I want everybody to yell Freebird. Okay? I want him to do the extended version. I want you to ask.
What are you talking about?
I want you to ask Freebird. Do people still do that at concerts?
Yeah.
Did I just date myself there? No, folks, you can come to one of Dale's events and you can ask any retirement planning questions you might have. A couple of different ways you can find out about it. Go to Soutas.com, Soutas.com, or give us a buzz. Or when you say that, hey, I'd like to schedule my own appointment, but you know what? I kind of like that idea. I'd like to go to one of the live events first. Give us a call, 833-856-1382. Dale, what are you going to talk about at your live events right now? What's on people's minds?
Well, by the way, first of all, it's at Fresno State. We use a really nice room. So it's not giant, so it's not like we're going to have hundreds there. So if you're interested, definitely, reserve a seat, I would say. Mm-hmm. Definitely. But we're going to get into different topics. If you've not started your Social Security, why might you want to wait? Make sure you get more out of it. How to deal with Social Security and when to start it, things of that sort. Even the concerns people have, well, I'm going to start it early because, it might not be there down the road. Well, We'll talk about that. The other things are risks. Most of the time when you think of risk, people think of the stock market, but that's not the only risk people have when they retire. What about taxes? What about inflation? And what magnifies all these different risks that we can have, in retirement? I won't give that one away. That one I save for the workshop.
Yeah, don't give away all the exciting.
Yeah, one of the risks magnifies all the others. And then lastly, what do we need to maintain our lifestyle in retirement is income, steady, predictable income. Will it last? Will it keep up with, inflation? Will we be able to handle, again, those other risks? So, we talk about a lot of things, and it's a fun, about an hour, and it's open. There's no charge. Yes.
Folks, you can come to the seminar planning. What are some of the major risks today to retirement? Don't want to reveal all of the secrets. But you can go to, and it's a great facility there. Shouldn't be too packed, and you'll be able to ask your questions or at least experience. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy live events and doing things is sometimes even just hearing other folks' questions or hearing what, watching people's faces as Dale goes through the information is realizing that you're not alone in some of these worries and concerns. And sometimes even giving you ideas that you maybe hadn't thought of about what could derail your retirement. And maybe even just giving you the confidence that you're doing okay. That, of every single one of the topics that Dale talks about, I say, yep, got that one covered. Great. Then maybe I'll just give you some confidence and you can meet some of the team here. Give us a call if you want to come to the live event, or you can go to the website as well. 833-856-1382 is the phone number, and Soutas.com is the website, Soutas.com. Dale, a whole bunch of things I'd like to talk about on today's program, if you don't mind. A little bit about I do and I do again. Let's see what that means in a minute. How do people normally end up with their financial advisor? Is it through specific knowledge and work and sifting through, or is it sometimes an absolute random walk that got you to where your financial advisor is? Some of the mistakes that we make, in fact, we will hit a couple of those, even though they're in Dale's seminar. And what are maybe some things you can engage in as supplemental income, but not necessarily having to work 40 hours a week in retirement? All that and more on today's program. Dale, I do and I do again. What was that about? That you shot me that in an email, and doing what again in retirement?
Well, more and more we're seeing people who may be on a second marriage or a third or whatever. So they have their own assets. Maybe they each have their own home, and maybe one is, rented out, or maybe one is with one of their children living in, the other they live in. But they want their individual assets to go to their own children, not to necessarily the spouse or the, their children, the stepkids, let's say. So, there's different challenges there in how do we set things up. And something simple can be a living trust. How can that be worded? One of my attorneys, it could be the mom and dad family trust, but their individual separate assets can retain their separate character. Well, what does that mean? That means they're not technically jointly owned, but they can be retained to go their separate directions if one or the other passes away. Or maybe it's smoother to have individual trusts on your property. So there's some different challenges. Or what about the assets? What if one has a large estate and the other has very little, but they're in love and they want to be together? Is it wise to even do a prenup, to protect those assets? So a lot of things can be, a lot of questions can come up in those types of situations. And, it's funny because sometimes I get people who've been married forever and they have a property or two or whatever, and they still don't even have a trust, something basic to protect their real estate from going into probate from the state deciding who gets it instead of them, themselves.
Having to go directly to either the kids or charity if they don't have kids. But the reason why this is such an important topic, besides wanting to map out where your stuff goes or remains, is, I'm sorry, but today still 50% of U.S. households end up in some version of a separation right now. So we've got to address it, whether it's you or if you've got friends out there. And, maybe just even having those conversations. We want to open up the conversations. Here's a simple one. Well, not simple. Perhaps you have two people who have come together. They've been divorced before, but they don't want to legally do it on paper again. But they live in the same place. Okay? They share the cost together. And by all intents and purposes, they are married, but they decided not to do it because they've been through it before. And they realize that commitment, has to do between the two people. Well, what happens when one of them passes away? Who gets to keep the house? What if there were kids? What if there was an ex who decides to sue? What if, like you were just saying, Dale, that there's no version of trust, let alone a will, and it goes through probate? Right there.
It's a mess.
Right there, you've got a mess. And we hope that love conquers all, but it doesn't always. Yeah, Dale.
And probate, typically, sometimes people don't realize, on checking, savings, CDs, bank accounts, investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, on your retirement accounts, 401ks, TSPs, 403bs, IRAs, all of those you can name beneficiaries however you want. But on your real estate, you can't just take a Sharpie and write on the side of it, I want it to go to this person or these people or whatever.
You could.
Because, I can, they could, but I can paint over it and write Dale to be silly. But the point being is there's no little piece of paper that pops out and says, here's the beneficiaries on my property. And you don't add your kids on title with you on your property because that creates a lot of other potential problems. Obviously, if they have a legal or financial problem, whose property is in jeopardy. But so a trust is usually the best way to protect the property from probate. Probate basically would tie up assets for a couple years, and depending on the value, could be in the tens of thousands of dollars to get through that system. And the court decides who gets these things.
Yuck.
Anybody can walk into that public arrangement, which is what it is, where your assets are like on a clothesline, like in the old days, right? Everybody can see them.
Damn.
And
Gotta say,
basically,
I've
anybody
never
can walk
heard
in.
anybody put it that way. Your assets are on a clothesline that
Well,
everybody can see.
like exactly. Yeah, picture the old clotheslines. Yeah, everybody can see it. So, but anybody can walk in and say they owed me money, and now it takes longer and it costs more to get it through that system. So, to eliminate that, it's simple and it doesn't have to be, very expensive to set up something that protects your assets to go where you want it to go, unchangeably, and keeping it simple, a matter of days or weeks instead of years of it going to the beneficiaries.
Well, and like you were saying, whether you are married, not married, divorced, do you want your financial undergarments hung on the clothesline in the yard for the entire neighborhood to see? Or do you want to keep things private? Do you want to keep them going where you want them to go, and hopefully also avoiding probate? All of these are reasons to have the estate planning conversation, not only with your financial advisory team, but obviously with your loved ones. And there's many different facets to it. If you don't mind, I'd like to come back because there's so many different kinds of examples. So we're going to continue this conversation with Dale Soutas. We want to let you know right now, you can get started on your own retirement planning review with Dale. And if you don't have anybody to have this estate planning conversation with, you can start it right here with Dale and the team. 833-856-1382 is the phone number. I'll repeat it, 833-856-1382. Don't go anywhere. More with Dale Soutas, financial advisor, right after this.
Will you outlive your money? It's a scary thought, but it's a real concern for many people. In our opinion, that's why it's crucial to have a solid retirement plan in place. We believe that with proper planning, you can work towards making your money last as long as you do. Don't wait until it's too late to start thinking about your financial future. Call Dale Soutas and the team at Soutas Financial today to learn how we can help you create a retirement plan that can potentially help you obtain peace of mind and security for years to come. Don't let the fear of running out of money in retirement keep you up at night. Take control of your financial future today. Start your Retire Your Way review and financial plan by calling 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
This is Retire Your Way with Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial. He's right here in California, even though he's on the airwaves, in fact, on more stations now than ever, but he also still does his live events, continuing his commitment to financial education, and even more so, helping listeners like you be and stay retired with your own no-cost retirement plans. You can come into the office. We can talk to you over the phone. We can set up a Zoom call, whatever's most comfortable for you. But it starts with a phone call, 833-856-1382. Dale, we were talking about...
Well, I think...
the I do or I do
I was going to say, I think coming to those workshops, the benefit is simply they get to get some basic info and basic financial education to see, does it make sense to come in and get specific information on their,
okay.
on their planning.
I get that.
That's kind of the whole point of that. Get the overall view and then see, does it make sense to dive into specific questions they have.
I still sometimes like taking a class, period. So much of our research and things that we do are looking on our own and looking through, whether it's videos online and research, and then eventually you get tired and go, boy, I looked at a lot of stuff, but now I feel like I know a little bit more, but I don't know which is the correct answer because I'm doing all this self-research. What I like is that there's so much to retirement planning. Coming and listening to somebody like yourself who's put it all together in a specific form and given people things that they need to be aware of, it goes, hey, you know what? I have thought about that part. I'm good with this part. That's a newer section to me. And my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that yet. So sometimes letting somebody else lead the research, lets you know other things that you should be thinking about. Either way, feel free to come to one of Dale's live financial education events on retirement planning. Give us a call, 833-856-1382. You can also go to the website, go to live events there, check out when and where's. 833-856-1382 is the phone number. Dale, I wanted to continue a little bit on our, I do and I do again. 50% of marriages in the United States end in divorce. Neither good nor bad. It's just what happens. But I wonder, it seems to be a little bit better idea to, if you get together with somebody later on, to maybe not legally say I do. Can't we just commit to being together and living in a house together and not have to go through all the legal and financial hassle? Or am I missing something?
Well, I mean, I've seen that many times where people, they're together for all practical purposes, they're married, but they don't have that legal document saying they're married. And the concerns I see sometimes is, well, I want to keep our assets separate, so my assets go to my kids and his assets go to his kids.
Sure.
I mean, that's a legitimate concern. Well, that can be fixed even if you're married. The real problem, people aren't looking at all the different angles at times. And let's say you're living together, you're working together on, you both have incomes, retirement income, let's say. Maybe you're still working. And that can be even more disadvantageous. Is that the right word?
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Because think about it. You're both paying taxes at the highest single, person tax rates. If you're married, you drop into lower tax rates. I mean, are there other issues or concerns that you might not be together, may not want to stay together down the road? Well, that's a different ball of wax altogether. But if you're committed and you're going to be wanting to stay with this person ongoing till death do you part, basically, well, you're maybe not seeing the whole picture. And again, if it's just because of assets to keep them separate, nothing. You can still keep your assets separate, even if you're married. That's not hard to do. And you could still make sure if you each have your own properties that they go to your, lineage, not the other spouse. Just there's things to look at all the way around. That the whole picture needs to be looked at. And if there's definitely, hey, I don't know if I'm going to stay with this person, well then, fine. That maybe you better keep it like you have it. But most of the time I see people, they have that second relationship or third or whatever, and they're super close. They're not letting go of each other. And so what kinds of things can they do to accomplish what they want
well, I think
financially?
I guess together, then at least you have tax strategies, right? That if you decide to union together, now we're back to tax strategies, but it can also affect possibly your Social Security, depending on how long you were married,
right.
when you were married.
Exactly.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you're married to that person, then especially if you're married 10 or more years, and let's say the husband passes away, if his Social Security was higher than yours, then you're going to lose yours and you're going to gain his. So there's a lot of different things. And what about other assets, designed for income? They can be extended for the spouse. It can't be extended for a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So it can.
What about for a radio host?
Well, yeah, that's always a given.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
I thought you meant the.
I just want to make sure I was there on the estate plan. No.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
no, yeah, because there are legal protections, but I really appreciate where you're going, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's that if you are married, then there are certain ways your assets are supposed to pass. But let's stick with investments, and then I want to go to property. If you have been remarried, but you didn't change the beneficiary designations on, let's say, your investment accounts, those don't, which goes first again? I want to be sure for our listeners. Does it go to what the marriage is, or does it go to who's ever on the beneficiary designate? Meaning, if you have ex-spouses on there, is that where it goes, or does the union matter more?
Well, No, if you have named beneficiaries, that's how the contracts have to go.
Right. So I could be married to somebody. I could be married to person B, but I have person A as my beneficiary designations. My money, even though I'm married to somebody else, is going back to person A, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, okay, that could be bad news. I'll be dead, but that could be really bad news for me in the afterlife.
Well, for them.
When they come and find me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when you think about it too. So let's say we're working up an income plan for this couple, and they're not married. They have their assets, and we're dialing in. This is what they need. They work together. They have a joint account they throw money into to pay the bills, and they jointly work on things for what we call the play check. In other words, to do all the fun travel or whatever they want to do. And then down the road, if they need care, we have. Normally we build a care check into their retirement income plan. So what happens if they're not married, if we set up a tool that can provide lifetime income, it can't be joint lifetime with somebody that person's not married to. So now we're having to set up different tools. It's just not as effective or efficient in, really mapping out the plan. But again, it's not trying to say you have to be married in order for us to work with you.
Just a little stickier, a little messier.
Well, it might be more challenging for us to, come up to the solutions, but it also, do you understand all the ins and outs, pros and cons of that non-union?
Okay, for instance, so I had two phrases I wanted to point out to you over here. See what you think about these. Joint tenancy with rights of survivorship as opposed to tenancy in common. Now here, I think I'm probably talking more about real estate, or can this also be investment accounts? But let's consider the home. Joint tenancy with rights of survivorship versus tenancy in common. We've got the home. We've got two people. Let's say at this point, they are together, but they aren't married, and they've had previous marriages. Is there an advantage to either one of these phrases, or a disadvantage, or what do we need to be concerned about?
It could be also on accounts. So
it can be. All right.
Let's say you have a piece of property and she owns it. He never paid into it. It's not his property, but she really wants him to stay there or to have the property. She could add him on title, or she can have joint tenancy with rights of survivorship, which means if she dies, the survivor gets the asset. But if they do tenants in common, then it creates other sticky problems where if they both are on the property as tenants in common and one of them dies, then the other owns the half, but they lose, I believe, the step-up value on the other half. It creates other problems. That other half of the property could have to go through probate if the asset's high enough to trigger probate. So, and that can happen on accounts instead of an account passing on to the spouse or to whoever you want it, and you have it tenants in common. It just, there's a lot of problems.
I hear you
with
going
that.
umming and erring, and it's
I know, it's like,
okay, just get it out, Dale. It's like, look,
joint tenants in common. Or excuse me, joint tenancy with rights of survivorship. Okay, that's okay to make sure things pass on that you jointly own to the other surviving person. Okay?
And that's because it might not necessarily be married partner. Now, I'll even play with that one.
Could be the kids.
But
because like on a bank account that's not going to trigger taxable problems, you might have it joint tenants. Like I was on my mom's account to pay the bills at one point. So that's
right.
Okay.
But she knew you was pretty trustworthy as being a financial advisor, because again, we also caution people about naming children onto accounts in case something happens to them and they are sued. All of this being, and all of the very careful conversation you're trying to have here, is that this stuff can be complicated. And if you don't make decisions, the people who are going to make decisions are the courts. They're going to decide it for you. And it could be messy, especially if we have what we call today blended families. make sure that your stuff goes where you want it to, that the people who you're with are protected the way you want them to be. And you really do sometimes just need to have a few conversations. If you don't know how to get started, you can do that right here. Call 833-856-1382. We'll do your estate planning review, especially for our blended families. 833-856-1382 is the phone number. More with Dale Soutas right after this.
How do you know if you're retirement ready? That's a question many people ask themselves as they approach their golden years. We believe the answer can be complex and depends on many factors, such as your savings, monthly expenses, and lifestyle goals. At Soutas Financial, we can help you determine if you're retirement ready. We'll work with you to assess your financial situation, identify any potential income gaps, and develop a customized plan that aligns with your goals. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Call us today to learn how we can help you work towards achieving financial security and peace of mind in retirement. Call Dale Soutas and the team at Soutas Financial for your complimentary retirement readiness review. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Stock market losses have you worried? Claim your free portfolio risk report and protection review from financial advisor Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial right now. Call 833-856-1382. If the recent market volatility has you worried about your retirement investments, you're not alone. Right now is the time to take action to protect your investments. Surely markets do not always rise, but if you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, you don't have the same time to make up for portfolio losses as you did in your 30s and 40s. Claim your portfolio risk review from Soutas Financial today. Call 833-856-1382 or go to Soutas.com. Your portfolio risk review will provide action steps of what you could do to protect your wealth from current market swings. Get your free portfolio risk review right now. Call Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial at 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382 or Soutas.com. That's SOUTAS.com.
Welcome back to Retire Your Way with Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial. We had been talking about both blended families and really just starting the conversation about estate planning because it can get messy. Dale, you've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of couples. When people take on the estate planning on their own, what are some of the simple mistakes you see people make, even though they think that they're taking care of their family? They don't
just
realize
like we were talking about, putting kids on title with them on accounts and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do that. Basically, name beneficiaries. That's the cleanest way. And if you have a partner, maybe you're not married, have joint tenancy with rights of survivorship if you want that property to pass on to them. But another problem I see many times is people think, well, I've got these various accounts and I named my oldest as a beneficiary. I mean, there's ones, they typically do that. The oldest is going to get everything and they'll take care of their siblings. That creates other problems.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying
how about this
right
one?
away. Come on.
But how about on a tax deferred, like an IRA or your 401k or TSP and all that? You name one of your children because they're going to pass, share it with the others. And the problem that creates is maybe that child is on the same page with you. They're definitely going to share that money with their siblings. And I've actually had that happen. I've seen, ones come in for help because parents died and dad had his, let's say it's a $100,000 IRA, go to the one child. And she has to now share it with her two sisters, let's say. Well, to share that, she has to take a third of it, pay tax on it herself before giving it to her sisters, who now get that portion tax-free. So it just brings up a big mess.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, what if down the road that child, take it the other extreme, they don't want to share. They just, nope, Dad named me and I'm keeping it. There's messes like that. Sometimes people have where parents have it stated that things will be equally shared, but then the one who's in control doesn't do it. You need to know there's, ways of dealing with that too. But it just, it could be messy, and it just, you have to know the right way to do it. It's, you can't just willy-nilly hope it's going to happen,
Well, or just, I mean, that's a very, oh boy, I can see it. I can see any parent going, well, I'll just leave it to this one, this is the one who's financially responsible. And we're going to tell them, hey, make sure that your brothers and sisters get their fair share, whatever. But oh my gosh, the tax implications, the income implications of it. Be careful. If you've never done estate planning before, it's like running up the stairs with scissors. It can be a lot more dangerous.
How about this other twist? You got multiple children. One or more has special needs. How do you provide for that one? So this one with special needs is already on a government program that helps them. And they have to stay under a certain asset limit. And if you don't set up a special needs provision or trust for them that gets opened up when you die, then those assets go to them. It kicks them off that program until they spend all that money. But a special needs trust would allow whoever's looking after that special needs loved one to spoil them, to do things, buy things for them without it affecting their government benefits. So there's so many different things to look at. I mean, that's a common question when I ask people, do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? Are any of them, do any of them have special needs? And so, that needs to be coached, or, they need to know what their rights and options are to protect their family interests.
And if you've never had the opportunity to speak with a professional about this, or worried about what an estate planning attorney might cost at a first appointment, there is no cost to have a conversation with Dale about these topics. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. We'll get you started on your own family estate planning review. Literally, no cost to you. Yes, Dale.
And if I may on that, we refer people out to, attorneys. Even if they know an attorney, we can coach you how to, talk to the attorney, how to be prepared when you go. In fact, one of my favorite attorneys, we have a checklist that we use, and sometimes we use it just for any attorney you're going to use. But it basically shows you how to be prepared. And I'm not licensed as an attorney. The attorneys I deal with are not licensed in the financial field, so we don't share money. I don't get anything out of coaching families this way. I just want to make sure if you're, I look at you, if you're part of my family, knowing what I know, this is what you need to know. You need help to know how to make sure things go the way you want them to go. And it doesn't, again, cost anything to know those options. I had somebody just recently where that was their question. They didn't have any, there was no need for us to do a financial plan. Everything was fine. He just needed to know how to set up some legal documents to make sure things work out the way he wants them to for his loved ones.
And that's one of the things I appreciate you, Dale, as a financial advisor, is that you're willing to have the phone calls, the conversations, whether it becomes something that is business related or whether you're just helping people get pointed in the right direction. If you can help them, you will show them exactly what to do and how to do it. You can either do it through your firm, or sometimes you just give people the guidance of here's what you need to do. Call us when you have a more complicated issue. 833-856-1382 is the phone number. It's interesting because that was kind of where I was going to go next in our program, is that I set it up in the beginning, is that a lot of folks end up with who there is their financial advisor kind of randomly. And I'm using financial advisor, meaning that could be their representative from their 401k, and maybe they sent them an email one day and said, hey, you're 62 or you're retiring soon, would you like us to manage your assets, or whatever it might be. Or maybe you did a little bit of research online, but it seems incredibly random. Through a lot. This was research done by Investment News and Financial Advisor magazine. That one of the percentage I saw here, referrals from friends or family, 62% of the time. That's how somebody started out with a financial advisor. Man, I hope I've got some smart friends and family. Otherwise, that's a pretty big number to hope that somebody in my family tree picked the right financial advisor. I kind of like to reverse engineer that. What are the ways people should be looking for a financial advisor? The other one is there's a lot was online research. 50% of the time, people using search engines. How do people find you, Dale, besides listening to the radio show?
I have a cardboard sign I go out on the corner and hold up.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And
Was that
that
helpful?
is my
Was that
time, folks. When Dale gets to
No,
be
we
that sarcastic,
actually-
I am signing off.
Yeah. We actually do get a ton of referrals. We've helped thousands of families with their loved ones, to avoid spend down to a nursing home, get them on a program that pays for their care, even finding out ways to bring them home from a nursing home and get sometimes in excess of $4,000 a month to pay for care. So when they know that you're in it to help them, they usually tell their kids, their friends, neighbors, all that. And that's the best thank you, best payment back to us. Whether we work with somebody and make a dime off of you or not, doesn't matter. If we've helped you and you know how mean and ornery we are, then you're usually going to tell other people, hey, go pick on us, mean and ornery being a good thing, right? But yeah, we get a lot of referrals. We have, over the years been doing many different workshops. I've been on the radio over 20 plus years. So there's a lot of different ways people hear about us, but I think because people hear about us in multiple avenues, whether coworkers or other family, friends, neighbors, or from some of our workshops and other sources, things that we've done in the past. Currently, we don't feed anybody. We don't put on the dinners, but we have in the past.
I know what you mean by that, because there's a lot of dinner seminars out there, and as soon as you say that or start to look for that inside your search engines, you'll start to get them all of the time. What Dale prefers to do, rather than feeding your belly, he likes to feed your brain. He'll feed your brain with financial knowledge. And in fact, you have more live events coming up. In fact, what are just some of the topics that you're going to be covering in your live events throughout the rest of this year?
Some of the critical things in retirement are, if you've not started your Social Security, well, when and how, how to do it, how to maximize it, why it's not necessarily going to be going away, even though, we better start it right away. Other things are the risks that retirees have for the 20, 30 years they may be retired. Taxes, the stock market. There's a variety of things that put your money at risk. And then there's one item that magnifies all of those risks, which we talk about at the workshop. And then I think lastly was the income. We need to maintain income to maintain our lifestyle. So how do we make sure our income will keep going as long as we do and keep up with inflation and all those other goodies? So we cover a lot in the workshop, even tips on how to coach our own children, grandchildren to keep Uncle Sam out of their retirement, out of their retirement savings, that is. And so there's a lot of different things we cover in that. Plus, you get to meet us and see if you want to even, set a in-person appointment with us after.
Yeah.
Anybody who hearing this can join us at Fresno State on one of those events.
Yeah, you can go to the website if you'd like to look at the live events. Go to Soutas.com, Soutas.com, or give us a call, 833-856-1382. Let them know that you'd like to come to one of the live events, along with scheduling your appointment. No cost to you. This is Retire Your Way with Dale Soutas. We'll be right back after this.
For your own complimentary Retire Your Way review, call Dale Soutas of Retire Your Way and Soutas Financial at 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
As a valued radio listener of Retire Your Way, Dale Soutas and the entire team of retirement professionals at Soutas Financial invite you to schedule your very own complimentary retirement planning session. If you don't have a retirement strategy mapped out that includes low-fee investment elections, tax minimization strategies, decumulation plans from your savings that will last as long as you need them to, then call for your own retirement planning session, complimentary for our valued radio listeners. 833-856 856-1382. Are you able to lower your taxes in retirement? Are you unclear about your Social Security, Medicare, investment fees, and risks, or how to produce ongoing income that lasts your entire retirement? Then call Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial to schedule your own comprehensive retirement planning session. No cost to our valued radio listeners. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. This is Retire Your Way with Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial. By the way, if you want to write Dale your own question, simply type into your browser or into your webmail there, dale@soutas.com. That's Dale, the @ symbol, and then SOUTAS.com. You can shoot Dale any of your retirement planning questions that you might have. Now, before he can give a very specific answer, like how are you supposed to be invested, which is your favorite crypto, where are the best places for food, for long-term care in California, he's got to get to know you. So you can give us a call, but write him any of your questions you might have. We'll see if we can help you out, even just through an email, dale@soutas.com. Dale, I thought this would be kind of fun. I breezed over this article here. When you talk sometimes about income and retirement, I know we're talking about the assets and Social Security, but some people do like to continue to do things, have a sense of purpose, not completely just be off duty 7 days a week. Do you have to go back to the same 40-hour grind at 65 to give yourself some purpose in retirement?
No, a lot of them, some people have a system with their employers that their employer really loves them and says, well, hey, can you work part-time? Okay. And they enjoy the job. Okay, fine. Some might volunteer because they don't need the money and they're doing other fun things. It could be, and there's all kinds of things that people could do volunteering wise. But it could be also that they do find something else they enjoy doing. And maybe they are paid. Maybe you have a hobby. I'm just off the top of my head. Maybe you're into, sewing and what do they call it? The quilting and all that. Maybe you work part-time at one of the stores that supplies those items because you're able to work part-time, enjoy it, and
I
help
used to
people.
see that before, but unfortunately, I think Joanne Fabrics was going out of business, or at least they were closing a lot
Yeah,
of stores.
I don't think it's, exactly.
Yeah, but there are other ways though. Tutors. There's lots of different websites today, and I know that might not be the place where the retiree goes, but there's lots of different websites that allow you to do kind of contractor work, and you get to maybe partake in sharing of your knowledge, your experience, and what you do, and not have to work full time. I do know of certain tutor websites. I've used them myself before. You know what I thought was a fun one that I read about? Pet sitting.
Yeah, I was just
Pet sitting
thinking, or dog walking.
Yeah. There's a website, I know that we've used it before. It's called Rover, and you can have somebody come by your house and come and visit your pets there while you're out on vacation. Now, normally when we've seen it, it's been much younger people, but boy, I can't imagine if grandma or grandpa are coming by and I'm paying them to pet sit that they're going to be throwing a lot of wild parties while I'm out of town.
Well, pet sitting, or even, I have a lady I've known many years, and she's done that as well as walking, some walking of their dogs, mainly pet sitting. But I know others that do the walking regularly will help walk somebody's dog because, maybe the person, it's not easy for them to get around and they know the dog needs exercise, so they do that. So there's many different things people can do. What if they work at a restaurant just hosting? They just take people to the seats, and now they get maybe at one of their favorite restaurants.
I saw that this past weekend.
Yeah.
It was a great job. He had such a big smile on his face. I don't know for certain, but I mean, I could guess that they probably lived around the community somewhere. I doubt that they went and did a half-hour commute. You get to see people from your neighborhood. You're doing something. Yeah, like a restaurant host. They're not standing up there for 12 hours. They're up there during the busy time, like lunch and dinner. And then, usually the host goes home.
And maybe they get discounts for their own dining. But,
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking about people who have to work because they need the money. But maybe they want to have something else to do because once they retire, it can do only so much at home and read so many books or, whatever, right? Maybe they don't have a ton of hobbies like some dinglings like me. So maybe they need something to do or want something else to do. But it can also, maybe you are making a little bit of money. Maybe you're not just volunteering. And that can also help you to delay when you start taking, certain types of retirement income or even delay your Social Security to maximize it. So there could be a lot of different reasons or a lot of different things people can do to keep them busy. Consulting, maybe you're an expert in what you do, and there's other companies that can benefit. Or even, I know somebody, what did he do? He was on the board with the company. So he would come in every, quarter maybe and sit in on the board meetings and they would actually pay him to, advise them. So there's things that, people could do. And that it could be a win-win arrangement. You get to have something meaningful, fun to do, maybe even get paid, but it's not taking all your retirement time.
Yeah, and there are all different kinds of, again, I'll say it, there are different websites you can look at, whether it's freelance work like writing or coaching or consulting, sometimes doing things where if there's any version of community service. So when we say restaurant host, but there's also like community sports where, there's a lot of different activities that happen over the weekends, and it can be like registration hosts. One that I thought was a really interesting job I heard about was, so there was a nurse and she was in her 80s. There's a job that's actually called a patient advocate. And this is somebody who was either employed by hospitals or by either the healthcare workers. This person had a wonderful working knowledge of the hospital. They were a nurse there for a very long time, but didn't want to have the same kind of nursing hours.
It could be
so
like
you've heard of
like
these
an
before?
ombudsman, yeah. Or it could be, there's another, I know a couple different ones who work, I want to say it's CASA. Anyway, they're advocates for kids, for children. That might be displaced because the parents are in trouble or something's happened, So they're there to help the kids. There's many different things that people can do. We're not talking about just being a greeter at a store, right? We're talking about things that you can enjoy doing, whether it's
One that I saw
volunteer
that was
or
on the
get paid.
list that I'm not sure about was a community umpire. How many times have you seen these videos today where the kids are yelling at the umpire? I've seen everything from older umpires to younger umpires, like literally walking off the field, like parents who are yelling too much, kids who are yelling too much. So I don't know. I would say be careful about the volunteering for a community umpire.
Although
Make sure it's something
recently,
that you enjoy doing.
I enjoyed watching a bunch of the Little League World Series, but
I love
they
that.
were decent to the umpires. The umpires weren't getting yelled at. In fact, the umpires were going out of their way to help them in many ways. So yeah, I can see that.
Well, I think that, you know what? And I'm glad that you said that, because I do think that it's becoming that much more public, and I'm glad. I love watching that Little League World Series. And by the way, I was about to fly somewhere, and I was having a sandwich, and I was sitting next to a fella, and there was a gal next to her, and I was looking up, and I was like, man, it looks like softball. And the uniforms were like lighter colors and so forth. And the guy looks at me and says, yeah, it looks like a younger, like a female, like College World Series. And the woman goes, yeah, it is the female College World Series. It's been going on for the same amount of time as the boys has. And it struck me, I didn't realize that. So now they were advertising, or they were displaying both of them up there. But it is so great to watch it, because it is a lot more about being the kinds of sports that it's supposed to be, in my opinion, where the kids shake hands afterwards and you're polite to the umpires.
Oh,
and you're supposed to
yeah.
be polite to the other teammates and so forth.
There's a whole
just reminds
clip
me-
on one.
yeah.
There's a clip on the one where they lost, and the pitcher, I mean, they were ahead. I remember watching the game, and they were ahead, but in the bottom of the last inning, or might have been an extra inning, and the other team came back and beat them. And the pitcher, these are 11, 12-year-olds, and he was in tears, and he was crouched down on the ground. And one of the players on the other team came up and consoled him, and it was very nice sportsmanship. But yeah, it was fun to watch. They're being coached to be nice.
Yeah. And all we're doing by talking about this, folks, is that, you can volunteer in different ways, whether it's at your community center, whether it's a sporting center, whether it's for writing, coaching, consulting, just giving you some version of purpose, maybe a little bit of income in retirement. But when we say working past 65, it does not necessarily have to mean working at 40 or 50 hours a week. It means giving yourself a little bit of purpose, doing something you've always wanted to do, or maybe passing on a knowledge of something you've had from your entire career. But of course, one of the best parts of the retirement plan is not having to work at all if you don't want to. And that's what Dale and his team like to put together for you. If you would like a retirement income review to make sure that you can be and stay retired, it's so simple, folks. Call the phone number right now. We're going to have to wrap up today's program, but we'll still have operators standing by to schedule that appointment for you. 833-856-1382 is the phone number, or you can go to the website, soutas.com, soutas.com. And at that website, you can also click on the live events or call us as well. Find out when our next live events are coming. We got one very, very soon. You can come and ask your retirement planning questions in person to Dale. Phone number here is 833-856-1382 for your free retirement income review. For Dale Soutas, I'm Spike. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
Retire your way with Dale Soutas of Soutas Financial. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
As a valued radio listener of Retire Your Way, Dale and his entire team of retirement professionals invite you to schedule your very own complimentary retirement plan review session. 833-856-1382 is the number for you to call. If you don't have a retirement strategy mapped out that includes low-fee investment elections, tax minimization strategies, decumulation plans that will last as long as you need them to, then call for your very own retirement review session, complimentary for our valued radio listeners. Are you able to lower your taxes in retirement? Are you unclear about your Social Security, Medicare, investment fees and risk, or how to produce guaranteed lifetime income so your lifestyle and goals don't have to be changed with the ups and downs of the market or taxes? Call Dale Soutas with Soutas Financial and be confident you can retire your way. Schedule your own comprehensive and complimentary retirement review session. Don't just live in retirement, thrive. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and are not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Any discussions of specific strategies are for informational purposes only and have been provided to help determine whether they may be appropriate for your specific situation. If applicable, the primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Comments regarding a particular client's experience may or may not be the same as another client's experience, and is not an indication that any client or prospective client will experience the same or a higher level of future success or performance. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Nothing herein constitutes a recommendation that any security, portfolio of securities, or investment strategy is suitable for any specific person. No legal or tax advice is provided. Please review your retirement, tax, and legacy planning strategies with a legal or tax professional before transacting or implementing any strategy discussed herein. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. This is not endorsed or affiliated with the Social Security Administration, any federal Medicare program, nor any U.S. government agency. If applicable, we do not offer every plan in your area, and contacting us at the phone numbers provided herein will direct you to a licensed insurance agent. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-Medicare to get information on all of your options. All rights reserved.